Hey everybody, welcome back to City Sewers. Today is going to be an outside work video. The reason that I am currently inside introducing this video is that the neighbors' landscapers are mowing the lawn over there and it's ridiculously loud. So I'm in here to introduce the video. But I just wanted to let you guys know that we're going to be amending those beds today. Unfortunately, I did already start it because I was just like, get her done! And totally forgot about bringing the camera along. So I have not finished any of the beds yet, but I'm close on the first one. But while we're here, I can show you guys kind of what's going on here on my grow shelf. I know that David kind of gave you a little bit of a sneak peek in our last video. So on my top shelf here, these are all, let's see, this tray is mostly my Red of Florence onions, and it's got some rutabagas. Now I'm going to actually be trying the Charles Dowding method of multi-sowing. So I'm giving that a shot with all my root crop vegetables, and that includes my rutabagas, even though they're technically like a brassica, but I'm gonna give it a shot because we harvest the root. And so everything's coming up. Except for these are some plants over here for my kids' school garden. So Nathan's got a blue curled Scotch kale, and I think Caleb has the same thing, and Audrey has a purple lady bok choy here that's like taking off and doing really, really well. But I have in fact volunteered to take on starting the entire school garden's plants for the fall. So I have an entire tray that is all dedicated to the students. A lot of the kids in the school will be doing carrots, so those are going to be direct sown. So just everything that needs to be pre-started is in the indoor trays here. But then farther down, we have even more things. This is all kohlrabi and kale that will be in our personal garden. For the most part, there is one plant in each thing. However, I had a really low germination rate variety of kale called the, I'm going to assume that this is maybe Spanish, so it would be like a Hagallo Nero. But it's supposed to be more of a laced kale. And this one actually had some fair germination rate on my second round. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I'll plan on probably separating these out really soon before they go out and be transplanted, because I have another cup that has two more of those same kales. But we've got Ragged Jackson. I've been totally enchanted by the dazzling blue kale. Oh my, that's quite a root. But the color on this thing is just stunning. I'm already in love with it. I mean, it's hard to tell with the lighting and with the camera. But once it gets outside especially, I think that we'll really see the big showcase of the blue kale. And then I've also got my Chioggia beets, which again I'm doing the multi-sow method, which I have several different kinds of beets. I decided to pre-start these just because they can take a little while to get going. And because I'm extending so much of the stuff in my summer garden, I'm waiting to pull it out for the fall. So I wanted to just go ahead and get a jump start. The bottom shelf has golden beets that are all fighting for space. But, and then I've got some Romanesco broccoli, 4 plants of this, and like half a dozen collards, which they're in the same family, so they look very similar because they're all brassicas. But they're not the same. And then my cabbages over here have been strangely, like they do really, really well, and then they just die. And I think that the problem is that this is some soil that I had saved that unfortunately got damp and bugs got into it, and I think that they've been kind of going to town on the cabbages. So we'll see what survives. So that's kind of a brief overview on the things that I have growing in here. I actually have on my calendar to start more things actually in the next couple of days. So we're going to be starting like heading lettuce and things like that. and a few other things like our bok choys and things like that. So anything that I want to start that takes less time, I'm going to be starting here in the next couple of days. The big reason that I'm not doing a lot of direct sowing is that I have had issues lately with sow bugs or roly-polies or whatever you want to call them. They usually will eat decaying woody matter, but they will also eat young plants. They will eat seedlings. And I have had a very hard time getting things to start from seed for a while now, actually. I tried direct sowing a bunch of beans last year and had very little success unless I just started them inside and then transplanted them. So it's a problem that I'm trying to figure out a solution for, because especially having the mulch, people say, you know, the best way to get rid of them is to let the soil dry out, but I've got mulch down that doesn't let the soil dry out, and I don't want the plants to die because I'm trying to dry the soil out. So it's one of those vicious cycle things. So I'm just playing it safe and starting as much as I can inside, and we'll just kind of see what happens. I'll do some direct sowing and see if I have any success with it. But for now, starting things indoors is just what's working out for me. Now let's get outside and see kind of what the progress is on that. Okay, so here is the first bed that I've been working on. This is actually our herb bed. I pulled out some things. The basil here will stay in for now, and I've got another basil over here and some tarragon. But and then this is thyme and oregano. But I've got all the compost added in here, and I threaded in the drip lines how I want them to be, and I'm staking them down. And then I'll put the mulch over the top of it, and then that'll be actually done. And then I'm still in the process of working on the second one here. So because the wheelbarrow doesn't fit, I have this blue tote here that's holding the mulch that was already in there because I can reuse that. And I'm using this tote. It's kind of convoluted. So I've got a wheelbarrow over here that I fill with dirt, that I go out to the driveway and fill with the compost. Bring it over here and then kind of do by the tote load to do this, because the tote, it's kind of flimsy, which means that I can't fill it all the way, so that kind of forces me to limit how much I'm putting in there so I don't overdo it on the weight. So I'm kind of actually happy with how this is working out. So I'm going to go ahead and finish these two beds, and it's already afternoon now, so I'm not sure how much longer the weather's going to cooperate with me. And honestly, I have to figure out what plants I'm going to pull out, because I've got a ton of alyssum and marigolds and stuff in there, but eventually that's going to be cabbages, and those will take up a lot of space, so I'll have to clear out some area for them. And then all the eggplants that strangely have all fallen over into the walkway. Like, it's just, I have to figure out what I'm going to do plant-wise. The back bed there, I think I can get away with just going ahead and amending that. What I'm going to do is actually throw away all of the mulch that is in that bed, because it has a bunch of ground cherries in it. And I don't want to have to be fighting with a million volunteer ground cherries, because as you can see, there's a lot of them that fell in here, and every single one of those little pouches is going to be full of seeds. So it's just going to be easier to scoop all of this out and replace it with fresh mulch. But I don't have straw yet, so I have to go get some. So it's one of those, you know, contingent, this thing has to happen for this and this and that. So, but I can definitely do like the smaller beds that are done. I think that this bed I might go ahead and just pull everything out, because I'm not really harvesting anything out of here. It's got some eggplants that the plants are doing great, but I've got so many other plants that it's probably time to just go ahead and let them go. The pepper bed here, I'm really going to put that one off, I think, until the last minute, because it's still pumping out quite a few peppers. I mean, you can see they've got a lot of peppers on them, so I would rather put off messing with this bed. But yeah, so it's all looking good, and it's just one step at a time. everybody, so here's the thing that's been happening. I started filming this video a week ago, a little over a week ago, and I was prepping the gardens, doing a lot of amending and doing cleanup and things like that. But what happened is that I fell. I was stepping around an obstacle in the garden, stepped on an edge of a bed and realized I was stepping on a water pipe. Didn't want to break the water pipe, lifted my foot, and just balance went akimbo, and I went down hard. I'm sure it was hilarious if anybody had been around to witness it, where land hard on your rear end with your feet up in the air. But I did hit right, barely missing my shoulder blade on one of the raised beds. And I actually have a history of back issues now because I was in a car accident almost a year ago. And I'm still suffering some negative effects of that, some long-term effects. And so I've been actually out of commission for the past week, unable to work on the garden, which is stressing me out because I've got plants in the house that need to go out, and now we're getting late. So today is the first day that I'm really feeling okay enough to try and do some more work. I'm not planning on doing a huge amount of stuff. I might do some containers today, maybe pull out a few more plants out in the garden, but I'm not going to try and overdo it by having big wagon loads of dirt and things like that. Just take it easy and just take little bites at a time. And I'm hoping that we can get this momentum rolling and get to a point where we can get everything ready. So that's where we're at now. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to rip out the melon plants because that surprise Kajari melon did ripen, and so it's done. We need to get it out so that we can finish amending the bed. Now see, for example, I started clearing out this bed and it's actually all really dry. Here, I can show you guys. It's really dry now because I pulled off all this mulch and then I wiped out, and I haven't been able to get it replaced. So it's a little drier than I would like, but you know, it'll get there. I'm just hoping that the cats haven't overindulged in using it as a litter box. So yeah, we're gonna pull down these melons. I gotta get some clippers, and then we'll get this torn down and ready for mulch. Okay, so I got pretty much all the side yard containers amended. I think that's pretty good for my first day back with my back. It's starting to hurt, so I don't want to push it too much farther. But overall, I'm pretty happy with how far I was able to get today. So we'll see how far I'm able to keep going. I may come back out later if it cools down. But yeah, making progress at least. Woo!